Welcome to Supernatural Insights to Miraculous Living, a program created for total freedom, spirit, soul, and body. Well, hello, everybody. This is Ron Roper coming to you from Natchez, Mississippi, at the Media Gate Studio here in the Glory Land, close to the Mississippi River. And I'm just excited today about this program and what we're going to discuss. What I'm going to discuss with you, I'm excited about it. And if I wasn't excited, I wouldn't believe in it. But it's something that we can apply. It's not just something abstract, but it's something foundational, hopefully, that will help you and remind me as I tell you. And we're going to talk about Are We There Yet? If I had a title, I would probably call it Are We There Yet? Or The Law of End. Now, why did I say are we there yet? Have you ever been on a trip when you were younger? Or have you ever went somewhere and you were excited to get there? And it just seemed like it just took forever. I mean, you're in the back seat, and you're trying to be occupied, and it's mile after mile, and you look up and you say to whoever's driving, "Are we there yet? When are we going to get there?" And I call it, "Are we there yet?" Because in life, many times, we're hoping and believing and praying and wanting, desiring, if you will, for some circumstance or something to end. And so, I liken it to that, where sometimes I'm praying and I'm saying, "Lord, are we there yet? Are we getting there yet? Is it going to change? Is anything going to be different? Or is it always going to be this way?" We get that way because after a while, when you're going through these situations, especially nowadays, even as we're recording this program, there's fires raging, homes being burnt down. There's turmoil on the streets for various reasons. There's just a lot of disruption going on. There's like I said, fires, and then we have this coronavirus, they call it. It's a pandemic, and so I don't have anybody close to me right now, or I'd have to wear a mask, and then you really couldn't understand me. But anyway, all these things taking place in the world, and it affects our lives, it affects our jobs, it affects our living and our peace. It affects relatives. It's affecting business. It's affecting the nation all around the world. And many times we're going, "Are we there yet? When are we going to get there? When's this going to end? When is this going to stop? Or is it ever going to end?" I've heard some people say it's going to be this way. There's no normal anymore. You might as well not expect it. Well, could be, may not be. But I will say that there's something in the Bible that I want to share with you that hopefully will help you and give you some hope if you believe it. Now, you don't have to believe it. I love you if you believe it. I love you if you don't believe it. I just love you because I have the love of God in my heart for you. But this hopefully will help you because it covers a lot of areas that we're going through in life. There, I even remember when I was in school and they had a clock on the wall back then. It was one of those old round clocks, the big ones. And you'd be sitting there and you're studying and you're listening and in your mind you're going, "Is class over yet? Is this when's this going to end and I can go play?" I can go to recess. See, we're always looking for something to change and to end. And in the Bible, it talks about the thing ending, the situation ending. And I will say this, that everything has an end point, everything except one thing, and that's eternity. Eternity has no end. But other than that, everything has an ending. Life has an ending here on earth. The situation we're going through, it will change. Yes, it will. Well, let me read you this scripture real quick, just one, and it's out of Ecclesiastes. One of the wisest men that ever lived, the Bible said, was Solomon, and he wrote this, Ecclesiastes, chapter 7, verse 8. "Better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. And the patient in spirit is better than the proud in spirit. And I'm going to read it one more time. Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 8, King James Version, but I believe we can all understand what this is saying. Better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. And the patient in spirit is better than the proud in spirit. The patient is better than the proud in spirit. Better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. That is an interesting scripture because it has to do with patience in spirit. It has to do with the mindset if you're too prideful. It has to do with an end coming. An end coming. Now, whether or not we believe it or understand it or even know when it's going to happen, there will be a change in everything we experience. There'll be an end to it. I remember years ago, not that many, but it's been a while. We had a major hurricane come to Louisiana and Mississippi and Texas, and it was major. It was called Katrina. I don't know why they named it after a woman. I'm not even going to go there, but it was pretty bad. Anyway, I'm sorry. That was a joke. All right. Katrina came, and the size of this storm, when I looked at the satellite images, were bigger than the state of Texas. And Texas is a pretty big state. This storm was massive, Hurricane Katrina, and it was coming, and it couldn't be stopped. And people began to evacuate by the millions and begin to leave their houses and begin to board them up and begin to prepare ahead of time because this storm was coming. And it was bringing a storm surge that was going to be devastating to a lot of businesses and people and destroy homes and it's just major. But my point is this: no matter how powerful Hurricane Katrina was or any other storm, no matter how the wind blew, no matter how devastating it may have made some of the property and people lost, their houses and things, there was an end to it. And when that storm got over, let me tell you something. You could look up in that sky and it was just clear, blue, beautiful, peaceful sky. I mean, if you looked up at the sky, you would have never known that there was that major of a storm coming. You know why? Because there's a law. There's a law the Bible talks about. And it talks about the end of a thing. Better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. Now, some people may think, it was tragic. It wasn't a better end, but you got through it if you lived through it, and you rebuilt, and you learned some things. And maybe next time you didn't take it for granted that you didn't have to prepare. Maybe you were smarter. Maybe life was better. Why? Because it ended. And it's going to be the same thing with everything you go through and I go through, because it's a law. It's not a law in the books of the government. It's not a law in the books of men. There's a law in the book of God. And it says, better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. And if you could just grasp hold of this concept with a little bit of hope, maybe you've lost loved ones. I have. Maybe you've had tragedy. I have. Maybe you've gone through some terrible things in your life that almost it wasn't even hardly worth you living anymore, you thought. But yet you're still here. You're still able to watch this. You're still able to breathe, and you've got life. And there's things that you still have an ability to do and achieve. Why? Because that thing you were going through had an end to it. This corona pandemic, so I'm telling you, there's an end to it. It may last a year, it may last a month, it may last 3, but there's a law about this stuff that I want to encourage you today on this program. There's going to be an end to it. There's been times where I've been on my bed, and I'll just tell you this personally. I've been weeping and crying over things in my life and things I've gone through and situations with family and situations with ministry and just life and jobs and different things. Be affected and just be discouraged and just saying, the proverbial, are we there yet? Is this going to end? Is this trip we're on going to finally stop? But you know what? It did. And people come and people go and life gets rearranged. But there's some things that they just don't change, and one of them is there's an end to it. Now, I wish I could redo things overdo. I wish I could redo things in my life that I did or not done younger, if I could say it like that. Things I wish I could redo, but there was an end to those things. And now there are things that I'm not going to repeat because I've come through it. There are things that I know better because I've come through it. There are things that I've experienced that had I not gone through it, I wouldn't have that maturity on me. I wouldn't have that knowledge about it. See, but the thing is that I want to make today, the point is there is an end to it because it's a law. Okay. There's an end to this thing you're going through. You may think, how long is this pain going to last? Let me tell you, there's an end to it. There's an end to everything. You know why? Because there's a law. Better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. And the patient in spirit is better than the proud in spirit. You just keep on believing the best, trying to forget the rest, stand strong. The Bible said, having done all, stand. Having done all, you just stand because there's an end to it. There is a law I call the law of end, and it's going to cease. That storm in your life has an end to it. Oh, yes, it does. And if you won't quit, if you won't give up, if you'll just step back and say, no, I'm gonna wait through this thing. I'm gonna believe the Lord. I'm gonna believe His word. I'm gonna believe the best, and I'm gonna wait. There'll be an end to it, and you'll come out of it. You'll come out of it. The nation can change. The government can change. Presidents can change. All that changes. You know why? Because there's an end to that cycle. There's an end to what's going on here. Even the wars. Now, they talk about the never-ending war that we've been in and all that. Let me tell you something. There's going to come an end to that. There was an end to the World War I. There was an end to World War II. There was an end to the Korean conflict war. There was an end to the Vietnam War. There's going to be, you know why? Because there's a law. And whether people realize it or not, they're part of that law. They're living in that law. There are people that used to hate me that now they like me. I think I'm glad there was an end to that. And vice versa. Because it's a law. And I want you to think about that. I want to challenge you to receive what I'm talking about. The law of end. And if you found yourself saying, man, I thought this year was going to be something else in a good way, and it's been something else in an incredibly bad way. Okay, let me tell you something. It's going to end. Sooner or later, it will change, and it will end. And I want to just remind you today that the only thing that is never going to change is eternity. Time without end. So my point is to say this and that. You need to know where you're going. You need to be sure that where you're going, when your life finds the end, when your life finds the end days, it may be 100 and it may be 33, but you need to know where you're going to go because things change. It's a constant. They never remain the same. Never. Never. You know why? There's a law. Better is the end of a thing. And when I go to meet my Maker, I'm convinced in my heart. I don't know everything, but I just believe with all my heart that His love compasses me far than my intellect can think about. And when I go to meet my Maker, guess what? There's not going to be an end to it no more because I'm going to be out of that law. Here on earth, here in society, here in our homes, let me tell you something. There's an end to it. It's going to end. And we want it to be better than when it started. Better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. I hope that this blesses you. I hope you take it to heart. I hope it encourages you. And you remember what the Padre said. Better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. Believe it, receive it, and until next time, I love y'all. That's it.